You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Lansar, and of course, it is a beautiful Saturday morning with myself, Faisal MJ Suleiman, in studio. We live in an era where our lives are online. The internet brings with it all the advantages of having the summation of the world's knowledge at your fingertips. It also makes life very convenient. But with the good comes the bad. Cyberbullying has become rife in South Africa, and we often realize it's a problem when it's too late. We have online with us Mr. Paul Esterhuizen, the CEO of School Days, and we will be discussing cyberbullying, emotional and psychological effects and impact on the youth. Mr. Esterhuizen, good morning to you, and thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Yes, good morning, Faisal. And happy that you just simply call me Paul.
Okay, perfect, Paul, perfect. Paul, I introduced...
And rise and shine with your listeners.
Thank you. I introduced you as the CEO of School Days. Introduce School Days to us, Paul.
Yeah, we built a platform. We call it School Days because it has everything to do with the school days of a child's life. And in our families, we know the dominance and the realities of education are paramount. And there are only 200 days in a school year calendar. And we, as parents and community and guardians and custodians of that space with our children, need to be ensuring that we're doing whatever we can so that we optimize the teaching days and that our children are well equipped. And yes, we've got a plan to pay the school fees, and that's why we built the School Days program, which is designed around using some reward and loyalty methodology to enable parents to we partner with Dis-Chem in a very big way. We just link our program to the Dis-Chem benefit card, and if you have a Dis-Chem card, every time you shop there, you earn their loyalty points, and if you're a School Days member linked to your card, you earn education time points, which you can use to pay school fees. So that's School Days in a nutshell. I know that you want to talk about cyberbullying.
I'm coming to that. Yes, of course.
And our parents listening out there are saying, yes, please explain what's going on.
Now, and having said that, I was going to ask you about the emotional and psychological effects of cyberbullying on young individuals. But I think what we can do is maybe you can explain what is cyberbullying, and then you can explain to us what are the emotional and psychological effects of cyberbullying on our individuals.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, for me, I think we should be calling this social media bullying because it's far more understandable, and the grasp of cyber means, oh wow, it happens in the surreal. The truth of it is, if we're using any kind of digital technology, we're vulnerable, and especially on all the social media platforms where we've got the WhatsApp chats and the chat groups that emerge and the gaming platforms that children are so eagerly embracing, wherever we've got mobile phones. And reality is our teenagers today carry the internet in their pocket. They carry access to the world, the news, the good, the bad, the artificial intelligence, the fake news, the jokes, the memes, the fun. They carry it all. They carry it all with them. It doesn't leave them. And the cyberbullying area is when someone starts spreading lies or distruths, and they post embarrassing pictures or photographs of someone on social media. They start sending you an abusive or a threatening message or a little hurtful message to you in the group, ostracize you, shame you, and the tricky thing is for me, and I view it almost like a silent invader where it creeps up on the person who belongs in the group, who doesn't have that confidence or that capability of managing what they're participating in. So cyberbullying is really just using any kind of digital platform where you target someone to anger them, to shame them, to scare them. And, it leaves the child then, to your point about what does this do? Because it's so personal and confined, and I hold this in my hand, mentally, I could feel upset. I could be embarrassed. I even feel stupid if I posted or said something that I can't retract. I've created this digital footprint and my friends have seen it. They make me feel somewhat outcast. And then emotionally, this starts settling in the child's mind, and if they cannot deal with it, it has a physical outworking on them because they have anxiety that dominates things. They start having physical signs of being tired, distracted. And for us as parents, my child needs to be optimized in learning at school. There's a curriculum to be taught. And the moment they're being targeted in a group and they're being distracted, they start losing out on what they're supposed to be doing in the school environment. And the sad part about this is it doesn't ever leave us alone when it's online, because even inside my own home, if I leave school and I leave my peer group and I come home, I'm online and I scroll and I flick through the things as a teenager and I read the things my friends are doing. I can't be as good as what some of them are, and so it's got this nuance of tormenting. And I mean, for me, this is about, we're talking about all these negative things, and the reality is, how do we just lift this up, turn it around and say, how do we get our children, teenagers, to have the confidence to come and speak to us, to find an adult, find an older brother or sister, to be able to have the confidence in our schools to go to a teacher and say, please help me. I don't know what to do. I'm trapped in a group. I don't want to leave it. They're now starting to make me feel like I'm the stupid one. I can't concentrate. So yeah, we'll never identify all the bullying that goes on. But some of the scary statistics are that when it is happening, only 1 in 10 children will actually have the temerity or the courage to go to an adult and say, look here, how do I deal with this? So we need to have these things reported. Kids need to have the confidence that they can come into their community, even if it's to an aunt or a grandparent, to say, Grandpa, you don't understand this, but a friend of mine is saying some ugly things about me. Can you help me? What should I do? How should I respond? Yeah, tricky times for us as parents and teachers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Therefore, I think it's important that, a line of communication be open between parents and children, and children be, assured that parents are there for them. They be taught that if there's anything that's amiss, that they confide in parents. Now, having said that, are there ways that technology can be harnessed positively to combat cyberbullying?
Well, absolutely. We need to give the kids the ability to say, you have a life skill. And it's the ability to think, the ability to respond. And for me, the one golden rule to all of these things ought to be think before you respond, before you post. Think if, have some kind of moral guideline. If we're using the internet to disseminate what's true, what can be helpful to others, and in many ways what can be inspiring. So I can lift you up, I can send you a message of encouragement, I can send you a message of care. So we need to be teaching our children to have empathy, and it's crucial for them to then, from that, be able to say, well, how do I navigate when I'm participating in and looking at something that I ought not to be? How do we have these guidelines? And that's the tricky part, because peer pressure at school is very difficult. Can we use technology positively? Yes. Keep a clean slate. And as parents, we ought to be setting the standard. We should not be walking around and not engaging with our children in conversation and being trapped in our own mobile world where we're forever flicking and reading and doing things. And if our kids ask us, what are you doing? We should be able to say to them, here, look at what I'm doing because it's good. I'm using it positively. So, yeah, the answer to that is let's use it positively. Mm-hmm. Use the internet for the wonder that it does create. It gives us this connectivity. I can know where you are. I can know what you're doing, and turn these things for good. And that becomes, how do we teach our children the moral principles of life? How do we know that we've been given and created in an order that's a blessing? And we need to have that as the heartbeat of how we use technology. Technology is glorious. We can do so many things with it that we've never been able to get close to. Learning and the tips and the life skills of the world are all there. Use them well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, are there any long-term effects that may persist into adulthood? I'm talking about long-term effects of bullying.
Yeah, there's two things here. We're addicted to connectivity. Mm-hmm. and the youth, this generation coming through now, doesn't know anything else but a world that's connected. The internet is at their fingertips. And the long-term effects of being bullied in that space creates something of a trepidation for me as a user. Because if I haven't been able to deal with it, I haven't learned that I can actually exit a group, that I can actually block you as a caller, I can block you from messaging me, I can archive a chat group that I don't want to respond in, I can use what's available. And you must remember that purveyors of the internet solutions that we do have, and the service providers, even in the world of TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, they all do have the guidelines as to not let yourself be victims to the elements of the negative, the cyberbullying. We can actually go and do the research and say, help me to thwart cyberbullying. How do I stop cyberbullying of myself? But the long-term effects, if I don't realize it, I don't address it, I become demotivated. Tomorrow is not a day of rise and shine. Tomorrow is a day of what is going to happen. I'm fearful of doing this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to study. I'm being bullied. And how do I exit? How do I block those people? Exit, leave, and don't give them the time of day. The long-term effects are real. You can become depressive, you can become suicidal. And you say to me, no, not me. That will never happen until you're the victim. Parents, we need to be on the lookout for this. Yeah.
How can schools and communities work together to address cyberbullying from a legal standpoint?
You know, Faisal, it's the age-old one that I've always spoken about. I was very involved in the early days. We built the My School program and our School Days program, and parents are welcome to go and look at the website, schooldays.co.za. Our whole world is about how do we take our school communities, keep the teachers teaching, but an involved parent is the golden thread. If we are without parents, we need to know we've got to find a community and get the support of guardians. We've got to take the wisdom of grandparents, and we've got to go slow. So getting involved means I don't just send my kid to school. I don't just drop my child at school. I actually go and meet the teachers. And teachers would welcome it. They love to know who you are as a parent, looking after this child, and where's your heartbeat. They will never tell you you're not allowed to walk in the corridor of the school. And for me, for your child, when your child is the knowledge that you've walked the corridor, been in the school hall, been in the reception, asked the school what can you do, even if it's just purely by being supportive. Our schools need communities. Parents must go to these governing body election meetings in the school that are coming up. Parents have a right to do that. They need to get behind our schools. We're battling to get a quorum when we have an annual general meeting at a school. The parents don't care. The parents, this is the challenge. You get involved, you care, and you can work with our schools. You can understand they've got policies in place for cyberbullying. How do we deal with it? It's there. The world is your oyster as a parent.
In fact, I think it's important that parents do become actively involved in the lives of the children, become actively involved, in the schools that the children are attending, etc. And it does definitely make a huge, huge difference. Now, Paul, I want to thank you for joining me in the program this morning. Do you have a message for our parents, a message for our children?
Absolutely, yes. Get some downtime. Get some switch off and leave the mobile device behind the time. It will be there when you switch it on again. And get conversational. I know that it's an absolute blessing when a family sits down to a dinner and talk about what they're doing. And it's tough. We get home late. We don't get involved. But parents, get involved with your children's lives because they rapidly pass through and slip through the days of school days, years goes by faster than what you can imagine. So get involved. And children, speak to your mom and dad. Go to them and involve them. And if they don't quite get it, help them to get it.
Paul Estason, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. We will talk to you again. Do enjoy the weekend and the rest of the week, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Fazil. Have a good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. We spoke to Paul Estason, the CEO of School Days, and he spoke to us about cyberbullying, the emotional and the psychological impact on the youth, and the role of parents as well.